It's Brian Preston, the Money Guy.
All right, this one is from Jordan. Jordan said, what is the best way to save for my next vehicle purchase, which is going to be 3 to 5 years from now? A simple savings account to ensure no risk of value loss, or maybe a short-term bond ETF for possible earnings. All right, so bonds are conservative, Brian, right? They don't go down in value. There's nothing macroeconomically going on that could cause a bond to lose money. Why wouldn't I invest in that and do better than my cash account?
First of all, nobody knows what's going to happen with bonds, and because look, there's some unique things going on in the interest rate marketplace, where we know all the central bankers have every incentive in the world to keep interest rates low because a lot of the big countries have run up a lot of debt, and the lower the interest rate, there's definitely an incentive to keep rates low so they don't have to pay all that interest on all that debt they've run up. But there's still some pressure. It feels like there's inflationary pressure. There's a lot of money all looking for the same goods. I mean, this is the magical recipe that does create price increases, inflation, and traditionally the way you fight inflation is you start raising interest rates. And what Bo is alluding to is that it is very concerning if you own a lot of bonds. Now, look, doesn't mean you dump all your bonds, because Bo will talk about duration and what the real exposure is if he wants to go that CFA deep with it. But there is a very easy understanding is that we always talk about the seesaw and the fact that if you have bonds with an interest rate that are paying 2.5%, but now rates are 3%, the price of your bond is going to go down, because, who wants to buy your 2.5% when the market's selling 3%? Right. So you'll have to probably discount your bonds when you sell it to make your 2.5% coupon, equal the market of the 3%. And that's the simple way to think about it. Same thing happens, by the way, if you've ever wondered how can bonds make 10 to 12% in a year? What happened was interest rates went down.
That's right.
So all of a sudden, everybody who had 4% bonds and now the rates are 2%, everybody's like, holy cow, I'd love to have that 4% bond. So they're willing to pay a premium to get access to it. So it's the exact opposite with the seesaw. Interest rates went down, so the value of your bonds actually went up. When we're in a market where nobody knows if interest rates are going up or down, but we think long term, in short term, nobody knows, but long term, we really have nowhere to go but up. I think people are trying to figure it out, but that's why you better understand your why of bonds, and that's where bonds are supposed to be the stabilizer.
That's right.
But I would not use bonds to save for a car purchase 3 to 5 years. Look, here's the thing, and Bo and I'll let you jump in. I don't want to put words in your mouth, but I'm kind of a cash purchaser. I think if you need the money in 3 years, like when I think about cars, engagement rings, and house down payments, I know there's an opportunity cost, because look, 80% of the time, you just go throw this in the market, and 8 out of 10 years, you'll have more money when you go pull that money out. But man, what if it's the 2 out of those 10 years you needed that money because you had a time certain in that 3-year period? That's why I like liquidity. You've talked about balance funds. What are your thoughts on that?
For a car, if it's inside of 3 to 5 years, I agree with you, Brian. I like cash. I like saving for that. But what I think is harder is maybe you don't know if it's going to be 3 to 5 years. You think you might need to replace your car, but it's not time certain. And you're like, well, if this car is going to be 7 years in the future, I'm going to be sick if I, had this money sitting on the sidelines at year 3. So one of the things that you can do if you are thinking about approaching a car purchase, this is something that I do personally, I still build up my additional cash as I anticipate. But I might not do 100% of what I'm saving. I might take half of what I'm saving and dollar cost average into a more conservative type holding, like a balanced fund or like a shorter dated target index retirement fund, so that I do get some sort of exposure. I'm dollar cost averaging, so if the market does go down, I'm buying lower and lower, and if the market goes up, I'm making money, but I don't do that with all of it. And I'll do that consistently so that I kind of build both pots. Now, that's only when I don't know the timing of an expense. If I know that I know 3 years from now I'm going to buy a car, or 3 years from now I've got to pay off the engagement ring to be able to propose, or whatever the thing is, I'm going to save that in cash because I just don't know what the markets are going to do over the intermediate term. And like you said, Ron, I'd be sick if on the day that I went to the jeweler, or the day that I went to the car dealership, or the day that my car went kaput, all of a sudden the market was at a 20% drop. I'd be sick that all that money I'd saved I've got to liquidate at depressed prices, then I don't even have as much cash as I saved. You just don't want to find yourself in that situation.
Yep. All you're trying to do is remember, markets are walking up the mountain with a yo-yo. You're trying to make it through that yo-yo, the up and down, and make sure you get into the high enough elevation, and that takes time.